Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Wessex Resins stand, where we're having tabletop talks and in discussion with notable figures from the industry. And it's a great privilege to have a really cracking workmate with me this afternoon, Hamish Cook. We pride ourselves at Wessex Resins in being a team and being a kind of a family organisation. We are a family business, but we really pride ourselves in our technical support and the way we interact with each other. And Hamish is a really, really valuable member of the team. Actually, Hamish is so valuable a member of the team that I think I've been there the longest as a team member. And I think Hamish has been there the second longest as a team member. So Hamish is going to talk to us about river tables and the use of Entropy resins products for casting beautiful river tables, of which we have a couple of examples on the stand. If you'd like to come over after this discussion, we can show you them and exactly in detail and exactly how you go through that process. But firstly, I'd like Hamish to tell us a little bit more about Entropy resins and what makes it so special, and then maybe a little bit about the history of it.
The Entropy resins are a high-performance, bio-based range of epoxies. They were developed by two brothers out in America, Ray and Desi Banateo. They are both surfers and they love the surfing world. Desi originally started in the IT industry, but him and his brother love surfing and they love being out in the water. And from that, they had a great affinity with the natural environment. So they decided that, Desi decided he wanted to move away from IT and wanted to do something different. Desi's a mechanical engineer and his brother Ray is a chemical engineer. And they decided that they would look at creating a company of something that's slightly better for the environment. So they looked at epoxy resin systems for the composites industry as a general. They started, first of all, they developed one epoxy resin that they thought was amazing. They tried to develop the best epoxy that they ever could. And then they went to the industry and they quickly discovered that they can develop better products by working with the industry. So the first product they developed was incredibly stiff, incredibly strong. And one of the first customers they were dealing with was a company that makes surfboards. And the surfboard manufacturer said to them, well, yes, you've got a wonderful epoxy there, but it's not any good for making surfboards. We want something that has flex, that has give, that is robust, and can work with the riders of the boards. So they very quickly learned, and that's their ethos now, is working with industry and developing products that enable their customers to make things in a better way. So they make things better, a better quality and better for the environment.
I think that's a really lovely line. Don't you agree, Hamish? That making things better is a really great line. And, that's really fantastic insight into the start of Entropy resins and a bit about the heritage. But the product isn't just for surfing, is it? There's a lot of other uses. Maybe you could explain that a little bit, Hamish.
So as I said, they first of all looked at surfboards, and that very quickly expanded into other board sports markets such as kiteboards, snowboards, skis, waveboards, etc. They then, when they were dealing with the snowboard manufacturers, developed the compression moulding systems, which are usable throughout the composites industry for any sort of rapid throughput composite moulding. So if you, as simple as somebody making some key rings that they want to knock out a few hundred a day, they can use a compression moulding system that they can do that very quickly. But also being in California, there's the surfers and things around there are also very very artistic. So they had a lot of friends who are artists, and they started using the epoxy resins in creative ways in artwork, sculptures, And that very quickly then translated over into the furniture industry on things like river tables and the creativity that you can get from that sort of thing.
That's great. So we've got two uses there, really. We've got surf, we've got snow industry. Tell us a little bit about the O&E, or the one product.
So the current O&E system is a development from the original SuperSat 1000 system, which was one of the first bio-based epoxies that Entropy Resins developed. It is currently the only adhesive epoxy system that is USDA bio preferred approved. Quite a mouthful, that. And it's excellent as a general purpose epoxy, so it's very, very good in lots of areas. It's not a specialist one for specific applications, but it does a lot of things very, very well. So it's seen a lot of use in the timber surfboard industry, even skateboards, even people making staircases, interior joinery, etc. So yeah, it's developed from there.
So that's really great. Within the Entropy brand, Hamish has already described a product that's suitable for surf, product suitable for winter sports. It's actually used by a lot of the major ski and snowboard manufacturers, and also the general purpose product. But you need to tell us a little bit more, Hamish, because we've got another product within the Entropy line that's used for a specific purpose.
So the other products in the Entropy Resins line is the clear casting product, which it's developed new markets for us since we've been working with the Entropy systems, which are the furniture industry with river tables, such as you can see just behind David there, that type of thing, but also the maker craft jewellery market of people making small castings. The glass cabinet behind David, you can see a number of examples. So we've got artists making very, very fine, intricate jewellery, working with dyes and inks in very specific, clever ways to make very, very beautiful and attractive items. But then we've also got people such as wood turners that use it and using it very, very effectively. So I've done a small amount of wood turning in the past and know a number of the associations around here that I've spoken to, and we've had a couple of pen makers, we've had a bowl maker, and a few of these people that have used our Entropy product. So you can use it for working with timber, but you can also use it for making up castings such as pen blanks to make a purely epoxy pen or something like that on a lathe.
Hamish certainly would agree with me here that we're very fortunate to be able to use these materials and develop techniques for customers within our lab. But maybe you could just tell the crowd how easy they are to use, Hamish.
They're incredibly easy. Anybody can do it. The benefit of working with epoxy, and particularly the Entropy epoxy systems and the clear casting system, are they're completely solvent-free. So you don't need expensive health and safety equipment. You don't need extraction. You don't need to wear masks, etc. So just basic health and safety with a pair of gloves so you don't get it on your skin is all you really need in a ventilated area. The mouldings and the castings that we've got in the cabinet over there, most of them are done in just very, very simple silicone moulds that you can purchase off the internet. We purchased a variety of them from Amazon, and we've made coasters, rings, bangles, etc. It's incredibly easy to mix, incredibly easy to use, and it gives really, really good results very, very easily.
That's really great. So, say anybody here, and we've touched on the topic. Say that anybody here would want to make a river table. Could you talk them through a simple process quickly?
The process is very, very simple, but it comes down to the attention to detail of the quality of what you get at the end. the basic process is you need a piece of timber. The more interesting the grain, the more interesting the shape of timber that you get, the better the results that you'll get at the end. It's a simple process normally of using a waney edge board. You cut it down the middle and then you put the two waney edges inwards, which creates a river type pattern or void down the middle. You then fill that void with epoxy resin, the Entropy Resins clear casting system. The process of doing it is you first of all need to start by creating a mould that you put those bits of timber in. You've got to hold that timber in the mould so that when you pour the epoxy in, it's not going to float. Depending on how big a piece you're working on, you may need to look at sealing the timber beforehand so that you don't get air bubbles coming out of the timber into the epoxy. And there's various ways and techniques. Removing air bubbles from epoxy is quite a large topic in its own. We've got a number of articles, I think you mentioned earlier on, about Epoxy Craft magazine, and there's a couple of articles on there specifically on that subject. But the most common way is using a propane torch to remove them, but it should always be done with care because you don't want to overheat the surface. The epoxy, depending on the surface area, you can cast potentially up to 50mm deep, but it always comes down to the total overall volume as well. So not only the depth of casting you're trying to create, but the surface area that you're doing as well. So in some circumstances you may need to look at splitting it down and pouring it in a number of stages to prevent any heat build-up and exotherm. People try lots of different techniques. Some people go with completely encapsulating the timber. I personally like to have some of the timber exposed because I've got an affinity with timber and I like the look of timber. Personally, I like oak. I think the colour of oak gives us some very, very good results. But I also know that there's a lot of people that really, really like olive wood. I think one of our distributors has now also moved into retailing olive wood to the industry as well. So yeah, it's very, very easy. Anybody can do it, and the only thing you need to do is just give it some thought and make sure you've got everything ticked off before you actually mix the epoxy together.
Yeah, maybe if I can add a little bit, and Hamish I'm sure would agree, is a trial run beforehand. The thing that really sets the Entropy brand apart is that it's a bio-based system where the cured epoxy has anything really up to about a 30% bio content in the cured product. Where do you think things will go in the future, Hamish? I think we're looking at probably increasing that bio content as development goes on.
Yeah, certainly. Currently, most of the bio content is in the resins. There are always new raw materials coming to the market. We're constantly evaluating them. With our Entropy range, it never stands still, and nor do any of our other products. We're constantly evaluating them and seeing where we can make improvements. And there is a big drive to increase that bio-based content to higher than 30%. There's new resin sources coming in that might enable us to do that, but more excitingly, there's more raw material additives coming out that are on the hardness side, so potentially we can very quickly up the percentage. The life cycle analysis is something I think that we haven't mentioned that we should. Life cycle analysis is very big and comes into all the ethos of Entropy Resins and the full product range and the full company background behind it. So not only do we look at the source of the materials that are going into it, we look at the energy that's used in producing those raw materials. We look at the energy that's used at transporting those materials, and we try and minimise the carbon footprint of the products as much as possible. So when we're talking to customers that are looking at using the Entropy resin systems, it's very easy for us to assist them with that life cycle analysis data, and they can very quickly reduce their overall carbon footprint, which is very appealing to a lot of these big companies.
That's really great, Hamish, and it's been a real privilege to talk in this kind of situation with you, which we we don't do all too little of. But thanks very much for all of that information. And for you wonderful people, if you want to find out more about these products, more about the company, then it's easy to access our website or visit our Facebook page or our Instagram page. There is a wealth of information there. We absolutely pride ourselves in the level of freely available information. A must-do is to make sure you subscribe to our Epoxy Craft magazine, which is totally free. It's full of really, really top tips about how to use, customer case studies, really good stories from manufacturing. It's a really, really valuable piece of epoxy information. But thank you very, very much for listening, and thank you again, Hamish, for being here. Thanks a lot.